Prime farmland.
Yeah.
I sort of grew up in that area. I knew some
Okay.
of the tributaries of the watershed there.
Really, really
It's
important.
really so typical of our mentality now with take everything, no thought for tomorrow.
Right. Nothing for the future generations. kind of
Exactly.
thing.
We actually participated in Soupstock
Right on,
a
so
year
did I.
ago,
Yeah.
and
It was a
what
great
a
event.
beautiful day today
Yeah.
compared to that day.
Better than all that mud, that's for
Yes.
sure. And
They said bring boots. It's
yeah,
a good
I
thing.
took down the tents the day after, and it was just like caked in mud and
People
stuff.
got stuck in 4x4.
Yeah, it was so bad. Four-wheel drive wouldn't help you. So I see your name's Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, and you're an instructor at Georgian College?
Yes.
And so is the college behind this as well?
Oh
or-
yeah, the college is here, and the
Beautiful.
Chefs Association is here.
Okay. And so do you buy your food locally then? When
As
you're...
much as possible.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I volunteer at another farmer's market. We have our own Stop the Maga Quarry booth. And I mean, it's just this destruction of land that seems to be okay. Why? Because the government's going to get taxes on the exports because different things like that. We're just asking for initial reactions and feelings towards the Maga Quarry when you first found out about it.
Well, when we first found out about it, we thought it was a joke, for one thing, because of the size of it. I thought, well, that can't be right, you know. And then further investigation to find that it is as big as it wants to be, and that it is going to impact the watershed the way it will, and that it's ridiculous. It's big business, and we don't need big business in that scale up in the countryside where a lot of the food is produced for the Toronto area.
Yeah, and it's supporting the local economy, right?
Yes, it is. And also most of the water that feeds southern Ontario comes from up there too. And so it's a significant impact on the environment, in the entire area, entire southern Ontario for that matter. And once it's destroyed, it's gone forever.
You can't rebuild that. It's not like a mine where you can put it back to its natural...
Well, even mines aren't.
Yeah, they don't.
Once you put holes in the ground, they're holes, and that's the end of it,
yeah,
right?
there's nothing man-made that can restore it.
Water out of that hole in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Forever.
And the fact of the matter is, it's about the aggregate, but it's also about the water. They can sell the water as well if they want to, right?
No, exactly, and they're going to be storing it for 3 days. So.
Well, they won't store it at all. It'll be shipped right off the watershed, right? And so, in bottles somewhere else, and then, flown across the Atlantic and down to the States. It can be sold anywhere. So it's not only about the aggregate, but there's the secret agenda about water and what they're going to do with it. They can't pump it out and put it back into the aquifer because once it goes through a quarry, there's a lot of suspended metals that are released by the quarrying process, and the water is polluted. You can't drink it. You can't use it. There's a lot of heavy metals.
It's actually no good.
No. So we really need to look at this and figure out a way for an environmentally sustainable way, and and make sure that the benefits that are hewn from the stone out of the ground are shared in southern Ontario, and not shipped off to another multinational out of the country. So
land bought for millions and sold for billions.
Billions, yes, and then people are left holding the bag with all the polluted land, useless land.
But we need more condos. Oh, God.
Well, the way they're building them now, they're only going to last for 10 years before
you heard
they
about
fall
that
down.
glass falling down.
All sorts of stuff, yes. Well, that's another issue, but, I think there's a balance that has to be struck, and it's important to explore all avenues that can be explored in order to get to that balance, because one extreme or the other is not good, but I'm just not willing to lose the environment that I live in. I'm only about 10 minutes away from the quarry site.
Wow.
So I don't want to lose my groundwater. I don't want my pond to dry up. I don't want to see my neighbors suffer. I want to make sure that whatever we're doing is part and parcel with the environment and can preserve what we have and still allow people to live.
Yeah, when future generations look back upon what we did, we don't want to have that shame, and we want to for them.
We don't want to look like fools.
Yeah.
And if we destroy what we have, we're going to look like fools. And so that's not a way I want to be remembered at all.
Yeah.
And we need to have our connection with the land renewed.
Yeah.
And people need to understand how important it is to have that connection with the land. And everybody needs to have and develop their own connection with it.
Yeah.
That works
We
for
walk
them.
on the mother every day, and we never stop and think about how to protect Mother
We live
Earth.
and breathe it,
Yeah.
and without Mother Earth, we have nothing.
Yeah.
We don't exist.
Yeah.
And so, it's about time we took responsibility for our footprint on this planet.
Well said.
And make sure that it's not one that's it's going to leave a permanent scar.
Yeah. And little scientific fact, when you consume the fruits and vegetables, when you consume things that are grown on the soil that is in your environment, the soil you walk on, it's actually better for your body. It's actually the way that you're supposed to be eating. Though often, we're
locally
importing.
Well,
yeah.
for you than source somewhere else.
Symbiotic relationship wasn't exactly made up,
Exactly.
It's an actual
And yet
fact.
people are importing garlic from China. That's
Yes, it is.
yeah, you heard about it.
Right,
It's
absolutely.
disgusting.
And that's the thing that people are separated from, your meat's wrapped in plastic. You have no connection with the earth when you buy in a large supermarket.
Yeah.
And when you're buying in farmers markets and locally produced food, you have a relationship with the people that grow it, and you know where it comes from. And it's better emotionally and spiritually to participate in a food culture that's rooted in that particular
It's a different shopping experience as opposed to something that's sterile.
It's more social and it's more environmental and it's more connected. It's very, very important to be able to do that.
TV dinners just killed us, man. When they were first introduced, I think it all went downhill from there. They thought it was just the bee's knees.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah.
I'd rather come home and cook a whole meal out of things that I've grown in the garden and local meats and fishes that I've got out of the watershed where I live and participated in that way. And where we're from, Georgian Triangle, we're gifted because we have such a plethora of produce and meat and fish and people that are committed to this organic environmental lifestyle. And I think it's a very important thing to participate in this and preserve it for future generations. And we have a very big role to play in preserving this, and we have to take responsibility for it in whatever way we can.
Should be one of the top issues, I think, that people.
Well, and everybody should be involved because there's no small way to participate. Everybody can do small things, and if you have
Change starts here.
starts right with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do one act and everybody else does another act, then pretty soon you have millions and millions of acts that come together and form a whole. And make
something
change.
like this and Soupstock and
Absolutely.
different things like that.
Yeah, we participated in Soupstock and that was phenomenal. That was amazing. It was
you
muddy.
want some more mud for that? Yeah,
That
I was just
muddy.
going to say that.
The parallels to the Woodstock were kind of scary, actually.
Actually, there was a few comments to that effect.
If there was a hill somewhere, I was going to slide down and take it. It was pretty flat up there,
Where was my camera when I did
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate to have the sun come out today, and it really does lend a wonderful atmosphere to this, and everybody seems to be enjoying, and the chefs are doing a fantastic job. The flavors are fresh. The cooking is spectacular.
Yeah.
A lot of
Shout out to the
creativity
chefs.
A lot of creativity. And it's fascinating from our point of view, being professionals. We like to go around and see what everybody's up to, and meet old friends. I know a lot of people.
It's like a
here.
big social for the show.
Absolutely, it is. And Michael does a great job organizing this whole thing, and Jamie Kennedy's here, and Susar Lee, and I went to school and grew up in the restaurant community with all these chefs, so I followed their careers and watched them go through the various genesis.
We were actually speaking about that because I'm family friends with Michael as well.
Yes.
And I think I recognized you from the after party at his house.
Yeah.
The big turkey.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good turkey. But I think for him to
Nothing like a little turkey to make you smile.
Was that the Junior Chefs Association meeting?
Yeah, it could have been.
there was
We'll just leave that one alone.
what I was talking about before as well was the burning of his barn right before Soupstock.
Yes.
And that was intentional, So for that to happen, I think just shows what kind of people we're up against.
Well, also on the other side of the coin, look at the way it was put back together.
Yeah.
There was a tragic event there, but I think more importantly, what it shows is the strength of the community and the way they rally around and put it back together.
Bringing us together.
Yeah, you can do all those types of things to us in a narrow-minded, short-sighted, sort of violent way, but if we have the moral right and moral high ground, then we're always going to prevail.
It's like that old saying with the native elder grabs the arrowhead and breaks it, the arrow and breaks it in half because there's one of it, and then he grabs the bundle together. And then the toughest warrior can't even break it. So that's kind of symbolizes what's going on today.
I don't think the corporate culture understands how strongly people feel about this particular issue. And events like this in Toronto really bring it home. Really, make politicians sit up and say, whoa, maybe we should take a look at this, because they're all worried about votes.
Yeah.
And they need to be voted back into office. And if they're not going to represent our interests, then I don't think we should put them back in the seat of power.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts with our political leaders. We need to make sure that they understand completely and wholly about what we want and how we want it delivered and what kind of life and world we want to live in.
Yeah.
And, people don't realize how much power they have. The individual has a tremendous amount of power, and the sooner people realize that, the more change is going to be.
They'll take that self-determination.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's been lost a lot in our culture too. Is if you take away people's self-determination, they think they can't do it.
We need to fight against apathy whenever possible.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about empowerment.
How old is that cliche?
All the people that are coming here, they're all going to talk about this and participate in this. And every time they read an article about the quarry, they're going to know what it's about.
And hearing you guys speak online is just going to drive them to get out of their seats.
Yeah,
Come down here.
Get off your backside and get going, Come out here and participate, because it's just as important for you as it is for us. Because we're all in the same boat together, so,
We're going to have to paddle upstream soon if we don't get our act together.
I hope I never have to. I'd rather cruise downstream and enjoy the ride than have to fight my way upstream.
As long as I have a paddle.
You're okay? You don't mind? All right.
As long as I have a paddle.
One of the greatest protest signs I had seen was, I always wondered why somebody didn't do something. And then I realized I am somebody. And I think
that's around to it.
Yeah, that's just
you just have to do it. You have to get involved. You have to want to be involved. You have to really realize the joy that it's going to cause and the enlightenment to people as well about what's out there, the number of people that are interested in this issue and the energy they put into it. And Michael has been the driving force behind this, and I found out about the quarry 5, 6, 7 years ago, talking to him at his farm when we were doing a few other events, and I didn't think too much of it. We have a lot of small quarries up there.
Yeah,
tucked away all over the place.
People just don't know about them.
Then you start looking for them, and then they start popping up. They're like little mushrooms all over the place, little quarries here and there.
Far cry from a mega quarry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, this is just ridiculous. It's just out of control. And there's a lot of people up there that are willing to take the extra step to make sure it doesn't happen. And I really believe that it won't. And, I really hope and believe that it won't happen. So we'll have to see what happens down the road. But
we will.
We certainly will keep popping up like this.
Thank you for your time, Matthew.
Thank you.
Any last words, Bruce? Anything else?
Thank you.
No? I appreciate your time, gentlemen. What soup are you making today?
You got another hour, I'll explain it to you. It's
2 minutes?
It's a roasted parsnip and pear soup with jalapeno and serrano chilies, roasted garlic and 5 spice powder, and we garnish it with pork belly, zucchini, purple Peruvian potatoes, old delicious apples, and maple-infused onion jam.
Wow, that sounds delicious.
It's like a short story.
Hey, did you hear the price of pork is going up as well?
Of course, everything.
Why? Do you guys know what's behind that?
Well, with the drought too, I mean, everything is
the berries are just ridiculous.
Well, the thing is, it's just the fact there has been the corn and the wheat and stuff. It's been a very dry summer, especially up near Ottawa. And then I was down in the southwest of Ontario this summer, and it was severe there too. There's a lot of farmers in Ontario and Canada, especially across Canada, that had bumper crops though, right? And a lot of the problem is with the States. That's where the real drought took place.
Yeah, the States was bad.
And when you're just in a commodities market, well, that'll drive up the cost. So a lot of Canadian farmers are benefiting big time from these high prices. And of course, we eat too much meat anyways. So even if you cut the portion down, you only need 4 ounces of protein roughly a day to get by. So we don't really need to eat as much meat as we're eating right now.
We do consume a lot of meat.
4 ounces per day?
Yeah, something like that in the way of beef. With a well-balanced diet, that's enough. So
we have the soup or something.
That's great.
But anyway, so that's where that comes from. So we need to have, again, go back to that connected agriculture to the land. And when you get these big industrial companies who start farming in mass quantities in large tracts of land, hectares of wheat, GMO products, we have a very narrow spectrum of seeds that we're planting to feed these animals with. And if we have a crop failure like this, with the type of plants that are in the ground, they cannot adapt to this where other varieties can. So here's a little canary in a coal mine, if you will, as to what could happen in the food chain if Mother Nature decides to throw a curve at us, which she could at any time. And we don't have enough flexibility within the food chain to be able to absorb those types of things.
All the weeds are becoming resistant to Roundup.
Yes.
So Monsanto's going to have to come out with something else.
God,
so they're talking about using Agent Orange.
Oh,
I'm
really?
serious. I'm serious. I'm not making this
They're going
up.
to bring that back?
Yes.
Wow.
In fact, apparently they're starting to use it already because these
Monsanto is, or?
yes, 5 major weed problems that they have in growing the crops. And of course, all the genetically modified crops have this gene that resists the Roundup. Well, of course, now all these things are becoming Roundup resistant, so they're going to go, of course, stronger. So it just escalates.
Yeah. It sounds like good karma for Monsanto.
Yes, we used to be afraid of Big Brother, but now it's Monsanto.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like when I first heard that their seed blew over and then they sue that part, like I couldn't believe it.
And they have a battery of lawyers,
yeah,
right? You're one little...
Yeah, I've heard of farmers that are ruined by lawsuits and through no fault of their own. You have organic farmers that end up getting GMO blow over and you know, their crops are corrupted, so they can no longer claim to be, organic and all kinds of stuff.
So the fact that someone can own a seed is just...
Yeah, you can only rent it.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, and in the past you always reserved some of your seed for next year.
Let's talk about owning water, because there's a lot of big companies like Vinolia that own water.
Yeah.
And this is going to be another issue that's going to crop up in the future. Who owns the water? And people need to be aware of that. There's big companies coming in and buying up water rights all over the place. We're already seeing it to a certain extent in the Great Lakes with the water levels dropping. There's a lot of water taking going on all the way around the Great Lakes that are impacting the watershed. We have Crystal Springs or Silver Springs up our way that are drawing water, and we're talking about millions and millions.
Yeah, and in those areas there used to be free spring water taps. Where at the start, I went to two that I
get water for beer,
and there was nothing. There's nothing now. Like I went to one of the springs that I near Singhampton, and it's gone, like right near Raven's place. I was like, so I guess someone bought it up. I have no idea what's happened with that. But.
Well, and the thing is, we've also had a very dry summers, and so it's not unusual for some of these to dry up. But you also have to look at the pressure on the watershed with more and more people living in the area too.
Right. So the consumption's going.
And people are building houses with multiple bathrooms and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not saying don't do it, but you have to take that into account. And people need to, save water in the country the same way you save water in the city. It's key. It's very important.
Well, like from growing up, if I left the tap running for longer than a second after I was done using it, I'd get like smacked. Not saying violence is good, but it was that.
It was a subtle reminder.
Exactly, right? Like we have our parents who grew up, with 1 tub of hot water a week. They're living on places that you run off well water.
Yeah.
And in this area surrounding the Mid-Quarry, a lot of people are still living off well water.
Yes.
And we're just taking this for granted. And I think it's our luxury and our greed that's going to lead us to our
They've got catch basins, cisterns, right?
See, our well is a dug well. It's 4 tiles deep.
Okay.
And that's what we draw our water from. And it supplies all the water that we need.
Yeah. And if you're close, then this would affect your water. You said you were 10 minutes away?
We're 10 minutes away. It depends on which way the water flows through the escarpment. This will impact our neighbors, which is just as important, even if it doesn't
impact us. That's only, 1 million people?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Just forget about it. We don't need that million.
Jimmy, it's a drop in the bucket, right? Yeah. So, anyways, thank you very much. We have
Thank
to get
you
back
so much for your time.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll see you again.
Yeah, send us.